Hi, I'm Jan with Kidpower of Colorado, and we are back again with Meredith Henry, licensed clinical social worker. She is also a senior instructor with Kidpower of Colorado and the mental health lead for Littleton Public Schools in Littleton, Colorado. Hi, Meredith.
Hi, Jan. It's good to
Thank
see
you.
you.
Good to see you too. Thank you for being back with us. So I think I want to continue our conversation with you today related to at Kid Power, we are well aware that there are lots of different kinds of families with multiple different kinds of stress that they're experiencing. And some are still working in jobs, and some are unemployed, and some have different kinds of families at home, some with many family members, some with a baby or with a teenager, or they're trying to parent a child that's disabled, or maybe they have a family member that's hospitalized. There's a lot of different kinds of things going on with families right now. But what we're very aware of is that universally, parents are telling us they're seeing behavior changes in kiddos, whether they are toddlers or whether they are teens. They're seeing behavior changes. And I wonder if you can talk with us a little bit about what you hear parents are seeing and why that is and how we can help.
Sure. So I'm a firm believer that behavior is a method of communication. And interestingly, sometimes our kids are doing exactly what we would like to do in this situation right now, right? So you would love to throw an epic tantrum in the middle of your house and kick and scream, right? Or
Yes.
maybe some of us would like to go take a really long nap or sleep in until 11 a.m. like some of our teenagers are. So interestingly, sometimes kids are a beautiful representation of what we all feel like right now and how we're all coping and managing. It is absolutely expected in a situation like we're in, where the world changed really in a blink of an eye, to have some changes in behavior with our kids. Some of those can look like regressions. So sometimes we can see kids throwing tantrums and we haven't seen that in a long time.
Right.
Or we can see kids using baby talk or whining a lot. Or we might even see some regressions in the area of bedwetting or toilet training with some of our younger kids. We also might see some changes in behavior with our teenagers. They might be more moody or more emotional than we're used to, or we might see an increase in their sleep habits and they're sleeping more or not eating as well. So those are all methods of communication. And then the adults' responsibility in that is to notice that and to recognize that and then to help our kids regulate. So really what regulation is, or the ability to regulate in our own selves, is our ability to manage our emotions and our behavior in a way that is expected in the situation that we're in, that's safe, and that we're able to calm ourselves if we have an emotional response. And our emotional response can happen, but we're also able to calm and utilize the strategies that we've used in the past to calm ourselves down. So really it's a set of skills, and our kids need to learn those skills in much the same way that they learn other skills. So we have to teach those skills. And when our world is completely rocked and different and feels kind of upside down, we might need to model for our kids how to regulate. So when we start to see some shifts in behavior, we might need to say things like, it looks like you're having some big feelings right now. I wonder if you have something on your mind. Like we say in Kid Power all the time, are you wondering or worrying about something, and do you need some space to talk about that? That's okay. And so sometimes that requires us, in the hustle of trying to do everything in our homes, to stop for a minute and have that conversation, or articulate for our kids, you look really sad right now. You look really angry right now. And just put some words to the behaviors and the experiences that they're having and
You
join
know,
them.
it's hard. That's so hard because sometimes their behaviors are the very things that trigger us most.
Yeah.
So when that child starts talking baby talk or won't let go of you, or you get the eye roll from your teenager, those are the behaviors that can send parents just to the moon, right?
Absolutely. And I think if you're feeling yourself going to that place really, really fast, that's a good time for you to recognize your own behavior as communication and do a little regulation for yourself. And so that's a good time to take a time out or to pause or slow everybody down and say, okay, we're all going to stop and breathe for a second because I'm really triggered right now. So some of that is recognizing the behavior and what that elicits in us, and then also being that firm captain of your ship and slowing things down and getting to a place where you're regulated so they can regulate. If we co-regulate together, where we calm, then our kids can often regulate with us. But if we're elevated, they're more likely to join us in that. But absolutely recognize your triggers. It's
And so,
important.
and that it's really normal to not do it right all the time. There's no perfect
Absolutely not.
here.
No. And
But
that's
what
what
we hear,
we have
yeah,
to apologize and say, I'm sorry, I messed that one up. I'm sorry I was grumpy with you. I'm sorry I yelled. And this is tough for me too. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about where you are right now.
yeah, and that brings us to parent guilt, because boy, are we hearing that right now, right? When parents feel so
Yes.
guilty they're not doing it right when it is so hard. There's no right here.
There's no right. A good friend of mine was leading a big meeting and happened to turn her camera off just real quick and looked over at her 3-year-old. And her 3-year-old, a very independent little guy, had gone to the cabinet, had found all of the Cheetos covered in orange, sitting, has opened up the iPad, watching things on the iPad covered in Cheetos. And she is ready to speak to this huge group of people in about 2 seconds. And as we processed, she felt so guilty. He's
Yeah.
eating things she would never let him eat. He's watching things she would never let him watch for the amount of time that he's watching, and she can't really do anything about it. And so there's that time where we have to just let go a little bit, recognize that the patterns that we're in right now won't be there forever. We can change those patterns, and we need to recognize and be flexible that we might allow some things, whether that's different kinds of food, different kinds of screen time, different activities that we wouldn't typically allow if we were allowed to be out and about in the world in the way that we're used to. We can redo some of those later. Right now, let's just be gentle with ourselves, give ourselves some grace, and know that this isn't going to be forever.
Thank you so much, Meredith. We'll revisit this. We're hoping that people will forward us some questions for you. Message us through Facebook, Kidpower of Colorado, or through our website, kidpowercs.org, or through Instagram. And we would love to be able to answer your questions and continue the conversation. Thanks so much. Talk
Thank
to
you.
you
Take good care.
soon.
Bye.
Bye.